How do you consume news?
It mostly comes to me via memes,
Memes.
GIFs, or
What app do you think you use the most? Like for your memes and your GIFs and whatnot?
the only app I use for that would be 9gag, which I'm trying to get away from.
I don't even know what that is. Is it social media or is it just memes?
It's just memes and GIFs and
I didn't even know there were specific.
so you can just scroll
Oh,
through.
cool. Is that what you send in the messages?
Yeah.
Yeah, because yours come through.
Mm-hmm.
Mine are just links.
Right. Yours and Brent's are constantly links and stuff. But yeah.
The Facebook one's the worst. Those are just straight up open Facebook.
Pick a category if you want, like anime, if you want humor.
And that's an app?
It's an app.
But you're trying to get away from it.
It's very, if you know what I mean, Z.
Okay, I'm going to edit that out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. But it's owned by a foreign entity, and it very much controls my microphone.
Oh, shit.
Because it knows, like, the targeted ads on that, based on what it hears me saying.
That's my biggest problem with
sometimes.
Facebook. It's just too invasive sometimes.
Yeah, but like I haven't found an app that I enjoy as much, so I'm having the hardest time getting away from it. But yeah, there's sometimes I'll look something up where I'll talk to someone, and then the next thing I see on my phone is like, oh, you said you want to do this? Well, here's your chance.
Yeah, well, I'll wake up, I'll have my coffee, and then I'll usually get on Rumble, and I'll usually either play Kim Iverson or I'll play Russell Brand, just to get a feel for what's going on in the stupid poopy world and what's going on with that. Because I don't want to read about Israel, Palestine. I remember thinking that decades ago. Like, I don't want to read about this. Like, this has been going on long enough.
It's been going on for thousands of years.
And like, here we are. Yeah, that's all that's trending now. It's just like, fuck, dude.
But that's how things get on my radar. And then if it does interest me, then I'll look into it more.
What interests me is just like, we're in the day and age where like we don't even know it's real anymore.
Right.
Like, remember the whole hospital story that they were sharing? Like, hospital got bombed and 500 children are dead now. And they're like, okay, well, that didn't happen at all. And people lost their jobs over that. People are getting, like, it was just wild, dude. And, like, the way that people are just trying to escalate it so crazily, it's just, like, it's getting insane.
Well, that's something that I saw also on 9gag was about how the BBC had to, like...
Yeah, they redact a lot of stuff.
Do a redaction, because they had said that, Hamas isn't using human shields by building tunnels under the hospital, and then they raid a tunnel under a hospital.
Which, and again, all that proves is... Like, even looking at both sides of the coin, it's like, okay, there is an underground tunnel.
Right.
What is it used for, though? Like, you see, it's there. It's obviously there, but we can't automatically be like, they're using it for terroristic things. It's just like, we don't know that. Like,
you can't, but, it's safe to assume you're not going to get bombed if you're underneath a hospital.
Yeah, it could just be a bomb shelter, though.
But there are, I was reading links that they're trying to flood the tunnels and stuff that they're finding and stuff like that.
For what reason, though? To get rid of evidence? Or
I guess...
Kill anybody that's down there?
I think to flush them out. Flamethrowers aren't legal anymore.
Yeah, because they said that they won't go in them. Right. It's like they've sent drones in there. That's about it.
Yeah, it could be rigged with explosives. Yeah, exactly. You don't know what you're walking into.
Or it could be nothing.
Or it could be, completely empty.
Right now so I do that, and then I'll get on Google, and I usually just go to news and see what the first thing Google wants to show me. And then I'll get on X, and I'll see what's trending. So right now, Google's obviously Israel, Hamas. Right now, there's still that ceasefire going on that the Biden administration worked out. It says it will be extended 4 more days.
I think it was originally just a 10-day for the holiday. Someone was like, "Oh, the Thanksgiving ceasefire," and I was like, "I don't think they have Thanksgiving."
Yeah, I don't think that's what it was. But like I said, I'm pretty sure it has to do a lot with that because, like, days before the ceasefire happened, you had Biden he unlocked another $10 billion for Iran. It's just like, what? Why did you do that? And was that about the hostage exchange, or was very weird to see? Not targeting the current administration. I'm just saying weird to see from any president to do. It's just like is it Hezbollah No, that's Lebanon. Is it the Sunnis or the Shiites? Well, I think it's Shiite or whatever. I think they're mainly in Iran. But it's just like, obviously they fund terrorism. They fund bad stuff all the time. And it's labeled for humanitarian aid, but it's just like...
The Iranian government? Yeah.
Yeah, how are you going to trust any of that? Why would you just straight up give them money like that?
Well, and that's the big thing with, like, you know, people being upset with Hamas versus people being upset with all Palestinians.
Right.
And, I mean,
that's what's crazy. If you say you're pro-Palestine, they're like, how can you be on board? It's like, nobody's condoning or okay with the murdering of innocent people.
I'm anti-terrorist.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
I can support the Russian people without supporting the Russian government. Mm-hmm. And that was the big thing during the Ukraine war, or conflict, whatever you want to call it, special military operation. You know, like a lot of the Russian people, they're being lied to by their media way more than we are.
For sure.
But, you know, so they're ignorant. They don't know what's going on. And a lot of them just want to live their daily lives. They don't care at all. You know, they just want their sons and daughters home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I can be very much against Putin.
Yeah.
That's not the same thing as saying, death to all Russians.
Like, and if this does become a channel, you're definitely going to hear me talk a lot of shit about China. But, like, I have nothing against Chinese people. I have nothing against people in general. Right. Like, I love all people.
It's the government.
It's the corruption. It's the tyranny. It's the governments that they decide what freedom is, or they decide what you can and can't do. That's when I have a problem.
Well, it's when you have these dictators, you know, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so you have people like Putin who, if he steps down, would probably be killed by whoever takes over next. So he has to stay in power.
Right.
And with Xi Jinping, I don't know what the line of succession is there, but I mean, look at North Korea as well. Like he's killed family members because he's afraid of losing power to them.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild to see. And yeah, like I said, you see with our government officials, it's just like, why wouldn't you, like, you know, like a person like Pelosi or McConnell or something, like, or even the one that we just recently lost, Feinstein. It's like, why wouldn't you just step down? Like, what is this about at this point? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
You already got millions of dollars.
You already got the money. You already got the fame.
Right.
You already did what you said you were going to do 10 times over. Like, why are you still there doing? Who wants to die in office? That's crazy to think about. Like, would you want to die at your job? I wouldn't know. Like, that's just insane to think about.
Well, that's why people had issue with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Is they really wanted her to step down before Trump took office.
Well, if she had done it during the Obama administration, he would have gotten a younger person in there.
Not just younger, but one that would have supported his...
Obviously, another RBG.
Leftist.
Yeah, for sure.
But because she literally waited to die on the bench, then it
Trump
went to the other side. And so then a lot of the leftists are upset about... You know, why would she just step down? You know, you're old, you know you're frail, you know you're sick.
I think this is the problem with the liberal, the Democratic Party, too. It's just like, because they still want to stay they still want to stay liberal, but they don't like what the people in charge are doing. It's like, but you voted for these people. I mean, like, is it just because the only people running for office are just corrupt pieces of shit now? I don't know.
Well, yeah, we are in, I think, a unique time frame where the people that are running are extremists on both sides, and I don't know if Trump kind of opened that door. If is he the spark of the problem, or is he a symptom of a growing problem where he got everyone all riled up and divided? Is what people like to claim, is that he's the spark of the division, but isn't he more the product of the already there division? You know, people were already unhappy with Obama. They were they were already happy with the way things were going in 2012 and so on. So, you know, the people like you see today, people that don't want to be woke and they're having it forced down their throat. So we're going to go with the opposite of what you guys are. And if you guys are going extreme, well, then we got to go in the extreme opposite. And then I think the pendulum swings both ways, and right now the pendulum's going friggin' crazy, just back and forth.
Well, yeah, people want a more liberal, more center party, instead. Like, it's getting to the point like you had these two parties that would communicate, and they had different points of views, And then eventually they communicate less and less and less, and just kept going further right and further left, and then the people left in the middle are like, I don't want to deal with either of it.
Right, that's why there's a growing number of independents in this country. Nobody wants to be associated with either party because neither of them represent the values that we grew up having, thinking that's what we believed in.
That's right, man. RFK. If you had to vote right now, who would you vote for?
Well, I mean, if we're looking at, I guess Biden has declared he's running.
See, I don't know. I mean, he still stated that yes,
still
he is
a year away, and I don't know.
But you're seeing media not turning against him, but pointing out more of his flaws, and they're hyping up more of Gavin Newsom in some ways.
I wouldn't want Gavin, but
I think the Democrats want him.
I
think they want anybody other than Biden.
The DNC is different because
right, for sure.
they are so rigged that they definitely fought Bernie for a long time, even though he was one of them.
He was a man of the people. Yeah.
And they didn't give him a clean fight. They definitely fought dirty against him. And so I don't support that. But also, I mean...
That's why I understand how you still support him, because he still bowed down to the party and he still accepted it, even though they were fucking him.
He was trying to do what he thought was best
okay
for the country, which was a peaceful transition of power. Of, okay, I
don't see how that's what's doing
rigged,
best for the people.
But it's... To not get them to fight. It's we need everybody we can to come out and not vote for Trump. That's all Biden was, is a not Trump vote.
Yeah.
We'll take anybody that's not Trump, which I'm still kind of on that page, but I don't want Biden again either.
Yeah, so you're screwed.
Yeah, so it's third party or it's...
So who's your pick?
I would have to go RFK probably, even though he's said some stuff I don't always agree with either.
I don't. But he's a warmonger too. I haven't met one politician that's been like, we need to stop these wars. They've all been like, let's hype up this military-industrial complex real quick. Let's get these wars going. It's like, RFK has been a little against it, but even he's still about, how that's just, we need to support Israel blindly. It's like, okay, well, that's not really going to solve anything.
I think... I heard that the Pentagon failed its sixth audit in a row.
I was talking to my dad about it. It's just like, my dad was like, so what? Who cares? I was like, this is my point though. It's like, these people that audit the Pentagon, right? Like, I'm sure they created a whole separate branch and they're paying them probably millions of dollars to do this.
Yeah.
To do a job that doesn't matter. To do a job that is going to lose. To do a job that they don't even care if they fail. It's like, what's the point? Yeah. This is just another grift then.
Give me that job.
This is more wasteful spending for a department that's going to audit you that they know is going to to
right?
And it's just going to be like, it's whatever, we'll do it again next year. Give me my money now.
We'll try again. Sorry, guys. But
it's so wild, dude.
That's the thing. I don't know if it was Bill Maher or who else brought it up, but they were like, imagine if you failed just one audit.
Yeah, you're screwed, dude. Yeah. You're in a lot of trouble.
Let alone 6.
Yeah.
And yet the Pentagon gets away with it.
Well, they were asking for a bunch of money, too.
They're always asking for money. They're always increasing their budgets. It's just the way it works. And I'm getting back to the warmongering thing.
Right.
My mom had told me that the reason she had voted for George W. Bush was he made the statement, we are not in the business of nation building, and we are not... It's not our job to police the world.
He lied.
Right.
Which were you talking, senior or junior?
Junior. W.
Either way, they both lied.
Yeah. But to say, it's not America's job to police the world. It's like you're saying, and you're getting votes for it, which means that's what people want. People support that message of let's not be the world police. That's the U.S. job. Mm-hmm. Let them do that then. And instead we are just constantly sticking our noses into every little skirmish that,
that benefits us, really.
It doesn't even involve
because think about it, there's probably wars going on in so many countries now that we're not involved in.
Right.
Why are we involved in the ones that we are involved in? It's so weird, dude.
Well, I can understand America being a religious country would want to support Israel specifically. But if you look at, let's say, the war in Ukraine, I see it more as a parallel to Vietnam, which is we're trying to stop the spread of communism.
Right.
And so, again, that benefits us, but at the same time, it's not really our business. And I think Lindsey Graham, the senator, said, I don't want to see American troops die, so I'd rather send money to Ukraine than American children.
Yeah, he's a piece. I don't like him.
I think we should get money out of politics, and if you're sitting in office, you shouldn't be allowed to hold stock. You shouldn't be allowed to.
What's wild is like these bills have been put forth, but the people voting on these bills are the people doing it. Like, why would they?
Right.
Why would they fuck themselves? Like it's not going to work out for them.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? They're not going to. It's so crazy to see. It's just crazy. It's weird how the forefathers didn't predict something. It's like because. Yes, there was a president job, yes, but nobody was like, oh, I want to be president. Yeah, this is what I'm going to do to control, to have power. It was just a civic duty.
Well, I mean, they definitely did want to be president.
George Washington did.
After Washington.
Even Washington was like, I don't want this job.
They tried to make him king.
Right, yeah. And he was like,
said,
what the hell?
We just got away from that.
Right.
But if you look at, let's say, Thomas Jefferson, he believed that the Constitution should be rewritten with every new generation, so it could be updated. It's supposed to be a living document that can be updated and changed with the times as times change. And there's other people that say this is what worked then. Why isn't it working now?
So I don't know where you get the facts on that, because it isn't even stated in the Constitution it shall not be rewritten or rechanged.
Where I didn't read that part, but I've heard a couple of times.
Like, you can amend the Constitution, you can't change the Constitution, because I thought that was written in the Constitution.
That's what an amendment is, though, is a change.
No. You can add on to the Constitution.
But you can take away from.
No, you can't. What have you taken away from the Bill of Rights? Please tell me what you've taken away from the Bill of Rights.
The Bill of Rights is different than the Constitution.
That was the Constitution.
But,
that was all the Constitution. That's all it was. It's all it should be. That all it was.
The amendments came in, and once they realized that the
Bill of Rights, which is part of the Constitution,
the initial Bill of Rights wasn't enough, and they started adding amendments.
I think that was bullshit. I think it is enough.
And so then they made an amendment making alcohol prohibited in the early 1900s. Mm-hmm. That gave you the rise of bootleggers and Al Capone and underground crime.
Yeah.
And so that was an amendment to the Constitution called Prohibition, banning alcohol. Then they had to come out with another amendment saying, let's negate that amendment, because you can't just put a line through Amendment 15. So you have to come out with Amendment 27 that will effectively negate 15. So you're making it longer, but they cancel each other out.
Well, wasn't Roe v. Wade an amendment?
Or was that just a law? That was just a ruling that a court decision came down to make it legal, but it didn't get chartered into our basic human rights. But you can, but like I said, it has happened before where they made it in the Constitution constitutionally illegal to make, drink, and distribute alcohol, and then they had to make another amendment to negate that amendment. So it's there's precedent there, but it's very difficult to do, especially at a time when, like we were saying earlier, where the House is so divided. And each side won't even speak to each other anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting that we pay them, but whatever.
Well, yeah, and you hear them constantly saying, though, when they talk, like, I got friends on the other side, and, this is a multi-party bill, and, like, they keep selling it like that, but at the same time, they're not coming to any kind of, because I don't think it's the politicians is the problem. I think it's the lobbyists behind the politician.
Dude, that's the biggest grift in history. I talk to my dad about that all the time. So, it made sense when it first came out back in the day. There was no internet. There was no phones. It's like, yeah, we need people to tell our government officials what the people want. They were lobbyists, whatever. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
And then it just turned into money.
It's just special interest groups now. It's coal. It's the pharmaceutical companies. It's all these people that don't want their way of life affected, and their profit margins or their bottom lines to go down, so they buy the politicians, and that just it messes up the American people when you see things like, the majority of people want X, Y, and Z, and yet why won't politicians get it done? well, look at, and I think if you're not going to get rid of money from politics, then they should have to be forced to disclose who's paying them to say what you're saying.
Right.
There should be...
Who's funding you? Dude, where are you getting this money?
Like 70% of what a politician does when they're in office is campaign for re-election.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah.
And so, yeah, they're constantly just trying to raise money. And so they're going to have to... So who are you getting your money from, I think, should be public knowledge if you're going to go into politics.
I'm sure it is public knowledge. I'm sure you just have to start jumping down rabbit holes and start connecting the dots.
If you
try to make it hard to figure out.
Right, but if you were to just straight up ask a politician, which I would love to see during a debate, is, if someone says, we don't need to go green, we need more coal, and then I would say, who is paying you to say that?
Right, exactly.
Are you getting paid by a coal company to say that, or are you getting paid by a solar panel company and you're just going against the grain? Because one of those two doesn't add up.
Right. Well, that's why it makes no sense for these politicians to make money in any other way except your job.
Right.
That's the wild part.
Oh, yeah, and they keep getting pay raises and stuff that they themselves vote on to give themselves. And yeah, if you have 5 homes and stuff like that and you're a public figure, maybe you're doing it wrong.
You would think. You would fucking think. Well, man, so the other thing I do, I get on, oh, is it gone now? Yeah. You get on trying to see what's trending on, hear what's going on in Ireland? Dude, they were riding hard in Ireland, dude.
Oh, is it with the...
It's about the migrants.
Yeah, immigration.
There was a stabbing. There was a stabbing that happened.
There was a stabbing I was going to talk about, but not in Ireland.
Oh, isn't that?
No, the one I was going to talk about was Derek Chauvin.
Oh, we can talk about that guy. I mean...
he got stabbed in prison a couple years ago. And it's
just like...
The timing of it that gets me, not just the maliciousness and the heartless, that's a human being.
Yeah, exactly.
But also the fact that the timing of it comes right after new evidence surfaced, after the toxicology report comes out and everything's showing that Chauvin didn't actually kill him, that he wasn't the
Somebody was trying
to
kill him, yeah. Because they want him to be quiet, because he's still arguing his case.
He wants a retrial now.
He's always, ever since it went,
obviously...
He's working his way to the Supreme Court.
Anybody that goes to prison is trying to get an appeal.
Exactly. That's just how it starts.
But he said, but now that new evidence has actually come out exonerating him, saying he wasn't the cause of death, and therefore, this evidence needs to be heard before a judge, just shortly after that becomes a fact is when he all of a sudden takes a shank.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a coincidence.
Oh, he's gonna... I do believe
he's been in there for a while.
They're gonna end his life in prison.
Yeah,
and I think in 10 years, the truth will eventually come out when people realize the big grift of BLM, and realize that, oh shit, this organization doesn't care about black people. It only cares about their special interests.
Well, I've seen a lot of things that would
look
confirm what you're saying, where, BLM, if you look at where the money goes when you donate to them...
Candace Owens, she did a whole thing on it, yeah.
And it's not going back to black communities. No, they're buying mansions and stuff.
Yeah, mansions and shit like that. It's ridiculous. Yeah, so trending Derek Chauvin is like the person that stabbed. Everyone's seen him on Twitter thanking him. You see people dancing.
Yeah. That's just so...
People laughing.
It's herd mentality.
It's so crazy to see, dude.
It's cold-hearted. It's also, I think, ignorance. I think it's a lot of people just leading with emotion over knowledge.
Yeah.
And so if they had the facts, maybe they wouldn't feel that way. Or, maybe if they had met him, you'd know that this is still a person with a family. And, if you think that he did it and he gets sentenced to... How long was he sentenced to?
20, I'm sure life.
20 years
He was 3 charges of killing a man. And,
but so if you think that, then if you think he's guilty and you think that he went before a judge and you think that the judge found him guilty and then the judge sentenced him to years in prison... Right. Do you not think that's justice enough? I mean...
No, they want him dead, dude.
They celebrated... I know, they celebrated when he was found guilty, and that's fine. Celebrate that if that's what you believe. But then, to take it into your own hands and then get street justice is, I think, something...
Oh, that guy that did it, I think he was paid. I don't think he did it because like I hate him. I mean, I'm sure there are people willing to do it. I don't think he was. I think he was paid to do it. I think the guards were paid to look the other way. I think we're thinking about widespread corruption.
I'm talking about the people on the internet though that are celebrating such a vicious attack. You know, those people are just out for blood at this point. They're not out for justice. I mean, unless they just want to watch a man be tortured, in which case, you know,
I think they did.
Watch the Passion of the Christ, I guess.
I know.
You know?
Well, yeah.
Because they tortured him maliciously as well.
But I think they like seeing people tortured that they hate. You know, like,
right, but
and obviously the most hated people, especially in 2020, was going to be Derek Chauvin and Kyle Rittenhouse. You know, that was pretty
Rittenhouse definitely had me worked up.
Really? You hated that guy?
Oh, my brother
I didn't hate him, but I was like,
yeah, hate's a strong word, but I thought my brother followed the trial closely, and he was like, "You did nothing wrong." And
I wouldn't go that far.
That angered me a bunch. And he was like, "You know, you went before a judge and a jury, and you know, look at what happened." And I was like, he started crying on the stand all of a sudden. And if you're a tough guy enough to go running out there with a gun and start shooting people, don't cry when all of a sudden you're in front of like he's trying to become more sympathetic.
I mean, emotions are hard to control, Aaron. I mean, like, I don't fault the guy for crying.
Yeah, and I know he's a kid and all that.
Yeah.
But it just bothered me that it's like, oh, you thought you were so tough that you went running blocks away from the place you were supposed to be defending. And I think it was Ricky Gervais or Jimmy Carter. There was a comedian that was talking about Rittenhouse, and you know, everyone's like, oh, he just loves his community. On a snowy day, he's out there shoveling the sidewalk, and like. No, he was a kid that got wrapped up in what a herd mentality, and
he was probably streaming Fox News 24/7, and then he was like, "Look at all this bad shit going on."
If you're sitting in front of a building waiting for something to happen, and you got your gun ready, and nothing happens, then you're gonna go out, you know, like this is what I was promised, and then you're gonna go looking for that rush that you were trying to get, trying to scratch that itch, and that's I think why he ended up. You know, blocks away from where he was supposed to be defending. Yeah. Which, you know, at the very least, you know, he should be cited for desertion, abandoning his post. What? I mean, it's militia sucks.
Yeah, that's what you're saying, militia. Yeah. I am militia. Sorry, a little distracted there. We don't need to get into Rittenhouse. So obviously, it's very divisive talk. It's all of that so far has been divisive. I don't even know if YouTube will let us hear this, but
yeah, so what was going on? There was
Irish Lives Matter is trending right now.
Okay.
Yeah. BBC reported anti-immigration signage in West Belfast is being treated as a hate incident. So they're treating this Irish Lives Matter, what is it called, graffiti, as a hate incident. You know, because they got hate crime laws.
Yeah, they do have hate speech laws and stuff.
And that's what the BBC is reporting.
On 9gag, because it's so international, I'm seeing a lot of stuff from France in particular has a big immigration problem.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot of Muslims.
They're like, notice you're not hearing anything from Poland right now because they, you know, keep...
I hear a lot from Poland because, they're calling them inhumane. You see them at the border. They're shooting water at people. People climbing, like... I understand going to another country, but, like, why would you... post up there and be like, this is where, if I die trying to get into this country, like, why?
Right.
Why are these people so organized? Like, was immigration always this big a problem and we're just now seeing it? Or is somebody paying these people to go to other countries to try and get in? Maybe that's conspiracy, I don't know. But you're seeing this all coming out, like, pretty recent.
But if you want to go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories, the suggestion is that Russia is trying to destabilize the West. And that Russia, through Iran, through Hamas and other terrorist organizations, are
branching out,
flooding into other countries.
I can see that. Yeah.
For a while, when we were fighting, it was either ISIS or I think it was ISIS. They just moved to Africa, and they were operating out of North Africa for the longest time until we left Afghanistan, and then they came right back in.
Well, I think that would involve more of China. China's been buying up a lot of African places, saying, we'll give you all this infrastructure, we'll do all this and that.
But you owe us.
Well, yeah, we basically own you. So.
Yeah. But Poland and other places they're trying to keep the refugees out, if you want to call them refugees, or the migrants, I guess. But yeah, it does seem recently that, you know, every border seems to be getting flooded with all these people from the Middle East.
Right. Is it just more televised now, or like what's going on?
I mean, we had television in the 90s, you know.
Well, look at our borders. Like, you've seen them actively opening them up, actively trying to get people in. And
Right.
these are like adult-aged male men. It's just
Well, there's
like,
a lot of South Americans coming in as well that
definitely.
aren't necessarily Middle Eastern, but yeah, it's something that definitely feels like it's more happening recently, unless it's just the news is covering it more now because it wants to divide us, because
Maybe.
it wants to be, look how weak this president is, and look how, oh, this president's too tough on this. And so then, it, you know, border policy becomes, you know, especially on one side, if you're trying to stay away from a certain issue that you may not be polling well in, you know, you'd be like, well, I'm strong on this, so let's focus on this, you know, and there's one network in particular, I think, the Fox News side of things tends to be more based on fear-mongering.
They all do that.
It's us versus the others, whereas I think CNN and MSNBC paint Fox as the others.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're kind of doing the same tactic but in different ways. But
No, but what
I don't agree with, what was it, a child that got stabbed though?
Oh, no, I'll get back to that, but I'm just saying, emotionally, what I see, or what I feel when I see immigration like that, where you actively see other countries trying to stop it, and then you actively see countries letting it like, I get more mad at government. I don't get mad at immigrants. Right. I don't blame anybody for trying to get into America.
Yeah.
America's awesome. I love America. Like, yeah, everybody should try to get into this place, especially if they're just letting you in.
Legally.
I'm more mad at the government for being like, hey man, we kind of pay you a lot of tax dollars to protect our borders, and it doesn't really seem like you're doing that.
Yeah.
And I feel like other places are starting to feel that way too. So it's like when the media portrays it, they're not trying to get you to hate the immigrants. I feel like I'm starting to hate the government more.
Well,
like, no offense, government. I'm just saying, like, you're not getting painted in a pretty picture right now. You know?
When you see, like in France, what they're having happen is mass migrations, and then people just abusing the welfare system, standing around, being homeless, looking for free handouts.
You see that in America,
and then
in
you
New
see
York, Chicago.
You're turning what used to be a nice neighborhood into slums all of a sudden, and then where there's massive amounts of poverty and disenfranchisement and slums, you're going to have a lot of crime.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden these crime sprees are going up because I don't know.
The system can't support that much immigration.
Yeah, I don't know what France or European policy is.
It's open border.
They have open border because they all typically tend to. You know,
obviously, I think you still need a passport just to identify who you are, but I think they let you in.
Well, yeah, if you're
unless
in the
you're
EU,
wanted or something, you know.
Like I know England left the EU, so then
I know the policy for immigration is you need to go to the nearest port of entry if you are leaving.
Right.
But then you have places like Italy that had that one island. It only had like a couple thousand, Italian people, and all of a sudden you got boats of hundreds of thousands of these immigrants coming. It's now it's not even Italy anymore. Yeah, it's just whatever immigrant landed there. But apparently it said back to Dublin, Ireland, there's a lot of riots going on. Apparently there was multiple young children were stabbed at a school. When the left was saying, it's like, see, it's not even immigrants. It's someone who's been there his whole life. From what I read, an immigrant that has been living there for decades.
Right.
But he's still an immigrant, and I guess he just got fed up, and he just started stabbing a bunch of people. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't want to look at the silver lining too closely, but if there was a silver lining to it, it would be that, imagine how much worse it would be if he had a gun. And so the fact that he's just going around poking people a little bit is a lot better.
What is your argument? I don't understand.
My argument is,
you're saying thank God he doesn't have a gun.
Yeah, the gun control policy seems to work over there.
Well, I could say, if the teachers were armed, maybe they could have stopped him a lot quicker.
If the students were armed, they could have defended themselves.
Children.
Too. But no, the fact that he wasn't a gunman, I think, made it, I don't want to say less brutal, but less of a body count than there would have been if he had...
Well, to be fair, we don't even know how many people died.
I don't know, if any.
I'm sure people died. There were children getting stabbed multiple times, I'm sure. And this isn't the first time I've seen videos of you just see random crazy people just stabbing people.
In Europe, that's very common. Again, because of their gun laws.
Because there's no guns.
So they have to use knives or batons or other things.
Man, if only they made like murder illegal, then that would solve everything, man.
Yeah, it just make all crime illegal.
Yeah, I mean, why haven't they done that? That's so weird. So weird.
I mean, I think that, when you say like, oh, you don't have mass shootings over in Europe, it's like, yeah, but you guys don't have mass stabbings in America, do you? You know.
All right, I'm gonna go Google. I hate going to Google Dublin stabbing.
But yeah, I mean, that's definitely appalling, and I'm seeing a lot of
sad. You're seeing that a lot more all over the world.
A lot of articles of that, and in particular, like children as well. Like, why are they the ones being targeted? It's because they can't defend themselves.
Oh yeah, that's the. Obviously, these are crazy people, though.
Right.
But it's weird that the crazy person's first instinct is go to an innocent person. It's weird.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, as someone who is like, you know, I think Trump's being too harsh, and then you look back like, you know, 7 years later, and when he's like, they're not sending their best, they're not sending, you know, they're sending criminal. It's like, yeah, I kind of see what he was talking about now. It's a lot of.
Dude, yeah, they had like another stabbing, like days after. It was a high school stabbing.
Which is insane to me because, I mean, it would have to be. You'd have to be out of your mind to do something like that.
You're a crazy person, yeah.
Or on drugs or something.
Well, that's the other thing, too. Yeah. We need to figure out, and obviously the media will never tell us, and obviously it's not probably need to know information, but like even our situation in America, these active problems we have, and
right.
Are they, like, what drugs are they on? Like, I'm not saying the drugs caused them to do it, but like, say you had 10 of these people and they were all on one of the same drugs. It's like, maybe we should look into that drug.
Recreational drugs and prescription drugs. Also, like
if
they're on something that's, you know.
Well, that's why they even link marijuana use to these school stuff. And I don't know. I mean, that's like saying, oh, see, they smoke cigarettes. Yeah, it's just like, well, we're going to leak.
Did he drink milk?
There's cause and correlation. Yeah. Is it all because of the same thing?
Yeah, correlation isn't the same as causality. I think it's the quote or something like that. But I want to say that it makes little sense to me. Like I was saying, like when you see the slums and you're seeing these ghettos popping up, or these, you know, tent communities of homeless migrants, I could see a stabbing if you're trying to, you know, steal food. If you're trying to survive and you're desperate, and, you know, I can see a desperation attempt for survival. But when it's a school, then it becomes this whole other thing where it just doesn't even make sense to me why you would want to. Yeah,
it doesn't make... Well, obviously they're not in the right minds.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess that means I'm somewhat in my right mind if I can even comprehend.
I think it wasn't a high school. I think it was a nursery.
Oh, jeez.
So you just, dude, like, what? Why would you?
They just want to kill white babies?
I don't know. The suspect in Dublin's nursery stabbing, which sparked violent riots in Ireland's capital, Dublin, has suffered extensive brain injuries, which may be permanent. Yeah, well, if you're stabbed in the brain, yeah, I can't imagine that being good. Comes as the 5-year-old girl who was stabbed remains in critical condition at Temple, and this was a couple days old, I think. So, Temple Street. While the children's care assistant, a woman aged in her 30s, is in serious but stable condition. So, yeah, obviously, either the woman stepped in or he went for her first. I don't know. No, wait. So the key point is saying that the stabbing suspect may have suffered permanent brain injuries. Why are you telling me about, like, why is he alive? That's what I want to know.
If he's got brain injuries, then either he tried to take himself out or someone else tried to take him down. And because that's the kind of thing where you're looking for expulsion by cop type of a thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And so if you don't get that, then you're going to have a really rough life in jail, especially doing something so heinous.
This article, but it's about the riots, though, so it's not really talking about the stabbing that much. It says the police are going through over 6,000 hours of CCTV footage in the Dublin riot probe. I don't know why you're focusing on the riots. Can you not understand why the people are upset? They're trying to make it as like a xenophobe thing or like a people hate immigrants kind of thing. It's just like facts are facts, bro. I mean, like they're gonna be, and especially Ireland. They've always been a little upset with immigration.
Did you hear about the 1351 thing?
1351.
Where apparently, and this is an American statistic, where and it's used to be like a dog whistle for certain white supremacist groups or bigots or racists or anything like that. That basically 51% of the crime is committed by 13% of the population.
Oh yeah, I was just talking about this the other day. It's just that, is this racism or is this another underlining issue that we can't really talk about because people are going to automatically point towards racism? So say you have a minority. We're not even going to say what minority is. Say you have a minority in America, 13% of America, which is causing 51%.
Not just America, but any country.
Or any country, yeah, is causing over 50% of the crime. That's tough to diverge into because you're automatically going to be labeled a racist if you try to justify what's like, well, and then it would be kind of cast, or I don't know the word to say, just straight up say like it's that whole racist fault that this is happening. But again, it could be facts too. It's just like if you go to an inner city and if you see how these people are living, is it the system that put them that way, or did they put themselves in this situation? It's just like, if you feel like you're in a drug community where there's just guns and drugs everywhere, like you could just leave, try your luck somewhere else.
That requires
which isn't
money,
easy to
though.
do.
It's very difficult.
Knowing if you stay there, though, you're going to end up in prison or dead, though. I don't think you have a choice.
Well, some people do get out. I mean, you look at a lot of the G-funk rappers from the 90s, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, they come from Compton when stuff was bad, and they got out. They were in gangs. Snoop Dogg's still a Crip to this day. Yeah. He still wears blue. Because once you're in for life. But he got out because he was talented and smart. But some people aren't afforded opportunities, and so and then also you gotta ask: is it a cultural thing? Right. If it's what you're born and raised to know.
Well, exactly. If I was doing it, if I was to turn on the local rap or whatever, what are these rappers talking about? What are they talking about doing? What are they talking about selling? What are they talking about, like, what is their daily lives in these rap videos?
And what are you seeing in the movies, too? Tupac was in the movie Juice. There was Boys in the Hood. I mean, there's Friday.
Are they perpetuating, though, or are they just telling a story about their lives? Are they saying you should do this, too? Or are you saying you shouldn't do this, though? It's just...
Well, that was what Eazy-E and NWA was saying back when they were on like an FBI watch list because they put out the song F the Police, and they're like, we're just reporting on the violence we're seeing every day in our neighborhood. We're not putting out violent music. If my music is violent, it's just a reflection of my surroundings, then stop making my surroundings so violent. But then at the same time, you see the problem with when they do clean up those neighborhoods. Oh, they're pricing us out. It's gentrification. And now we can't afford to live here. And now we have to move. And so then we're being relocated. And then gentrification's a bad thing. When all of a sudden you take, like Times Square in the 80s used to be a very dangerous place. And now there's an M&M store where, families can go and hang out. So is it a bad thing to clean up a neighborhood? What they did with San Francisco before the visit?
Mm-hmm. It's going to be... Obviously, it's going to be interesting with the election coming up and what's going on in general. But New York, I know the police department...
Oh, they're down.
Not only is it down, they're well, first of all, Mayor Adams, he was cutting across the board because spending's up, the budget's down, the money's not there anymore. Which what our government needs to do, you just need to cut everything. And people are going to bitch and complain. It's just like, we ain't got the money. And he's realizing that. He's saying, hey guys, we don't have the money. So what he's saying is, we're cutting these budgets, but I think people are upset is because not only, he cut a bunch of budgets, but he cut the police department.
And they're handing in their badges.
They're handing in their badges of it, but I think the people are pissed because he's taking the money that he cut from these departments and he's using it for the migrants coming in, you know, because they live in those hotels. They need food, they need water, and it's very rough to see on the whole community, because the whole community, like, even there's plenty of just homeless people there in general, and now you're going to add thousands of migrants.
Yeah.
They all want to go to, you know, these food shelters and get food, but like a lot of people, they can't even get food there anymore because so many migrants are just taking all of it. There's just so many people.
Yeah. And the system wasn't built for that, like you said.
Exactly. You're overloading the system.
Did you hear, though, the other thing going on with Mayor Adams about his lawsuit, where there apparently was a temporary law passed in New York where the statute of limitations goes away and anyone can accuse anyone of anything that may have happened.
I think that was in America. I think we did that.
Oh, was it across the country?
If it's a sexual crime,
right,
there is no statute of limitation on it.
But it was a temporary thing. It's only like from this day to this day can you do it. And right before the deadline, all of a sudden, like P. Diddy gets alleged, and then Mayor Adams is getting alleged, and he's hiring a lawyer now as well.
But it wasn't till after he started not talking shit about the Biden administration, but he was talking down, and he was when this migrant crisis was happening, he was noting, it was just like, our current administration needs to do more. We can't just keep letting these people come in because they're flooding our cities and we're running out of resources. And then it was like a couple days later, Mayor Adams charged with or looking into indictment or whatever, you know. It's just like,
yeah, I mean, I remember him on the front page news saying, please don't come to New York.
Yeah.
Do not come here.
Did they charge him because he was talking about who's in charge, or is he an actual criminal or predator or whatever you want to label?
I mean, you're going to have to rely on the courts to really work that out and the evidence, because if it's a crime that happened a long time ago, especially those types of crimes, you know, when they're sexual in nature, they tend not to leave a lot of evidence unless, you know, you fathered his or mothered his kid. Right. You know, like what evidence do you have that something terrible happened besides, you know, he said, she said, maybe some eyewitness, maybe some photographs you want to take earlier.
Maybe, I know, but look at Russell Brand. I mean, like, he was asked to be shut. He was demonetized on YouTube because somebody accused him of a crime. Yeah. And they haven't even identified who they are. They haven't gone to the police. And the YouTuber's like, yeah, that guy, he gets no more money. It's like, wait,
I think he was targeted specifically because
of course he was targeted. He's the voice of reason.
Yeah, and we can't have that nowadays.
No, you can't have alternate opinions like that. You have to bow down the prior. This is another case. New York Post, they were suppressed during the 2020 election, obviously. But it says New York Department cops leave force in alarming rate.
Yeah, it was like 2,000.
Over 2,500 have turned in their badge so far in 2023. And then you're talking about limiting the number of people. I think they were talking about like people going into the school or the academy. Yeah. They said they were shutting down, like, fewer people going in together. So not only are you took their money away, people are quitting, people are just retiring in general. And now you're not adding new jobs, and now you're not adding new people to join. It's just...
That's true. I didn't take into account the amount of people that are just retiring.
They're just old and like, I don't want to deal with this.
I thought of it more as just people go, you know what, it's not...
I'm sure every year there's a certain amount of cops that
when
retire.
Paw Patrol gets canceled, it's just not a good time to be a cop.
Exactly.
That's why they had to shut down Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the comedy show with Andy Samberg.
Yeah, that season ended so terrible.
Yeah, it really did. But it was just because of, that
was over George Floyd, though.
And not a good time to be a cop.
Not a good time to be, or have a cop show, apparently. Yeah. At least a comedy one.
Right. How do you make it funny and then overlook certain things? And it got a little preachy at times as well, but...
Oh, for sure. I mean, but it is, it's, what was it, NBC? They're going to push their narrative.
I think it started...
The wary officer said the workload at the whittled down New York Police Department is already crushing cops, and things will decline further now that the city put the kibosh on the next 5 police academy classes. So what was it like 6 weeks training for the next 30 weeks? You're not going to be training any new police officers, and you just had 2,500.
There's only 52 weeks in a year, man. So that's a lot.
And it says, as part of the planned budget cuts announced by Mayor Adams on November 16th. So last, 10 days ago or something?
Cops and teachers and firefighters, all of our essential workers are notoriously underpaid. Like famously, don't get paid enough. So if you're going to be the mayor of a city, why would that be the part of your budget you're trying to cut?
No, I think he's cutting across the board.
Did he cut his salary?
Right, good point. Let's look that up. Let's see what mayor...
Is he taking a pay cut to, hey, I stand with New York, we're all going to tighten our belts together?
Well, we could say that about our House Republican, or House, House representatives or whatever. Adams salary. Let's see what our public official is making. Yeah, they seem to like the $200,000 a year salary. And it's not just him, it's other people too.
You don't think he can survive on just $100,000 a year?
Well, to be fair, I don't live in New York City.
It's pretty expensive, but
you would think all his food is comp, probably. His security is definitely comp.
It's Secret Service.
It's all tax dollars. Isn't there I'm sure he gets free food.
It's not like the White House. Isn't there a mayoral house as well? Like where?
Oh yeah, I'm sure he has a residence that's owned by the mayor.
Yeah, I think 6 figures for him would be just fine. $100,000 or $100,000. I'm running out of words, but I'm just saying 200,000. I think if he were to cut it by 50% alone, that's extra money he could be putting back into his community right now. But I think he is used to a certain lifestyle.
Well, I think the mayor of New York City is used to this. Say if we look up a mayor in let's look up
Nebraska, Omaha, the Omaha mayor. Look
okay, well that was that the capital.
Yeah.
Omaha. Her name is Jean. Oh, she's pretty late. Salary. In 2019, she saw her first pay raise, which put it at $104,000.
Okay.
I guess it's a lot based on how much revenue is the city pulling in. That's probably what they base their salary off of. But
right.
You would think New York's probably losing money at this point.
Yeah.
So you would think that his salary should be going down, not up.
Right, and if we're slashing budget prices, let's start with some of the most expensive programs and work our way.
Well, either way, yeah, everybody's just gotten used to this comfortable spending lifestyle. It's like we need to spend more, but
well, they're getting used to the idea that being in public office is a job that you can get paid for, as opposed to a public servant that is supposed to be serving the people. And if the people need to make sacrifices, you should be the first one to lead by example.
Well, yeah, let me tell you about the last story I was reading about. Then it was a mayor. She's getting busted for corruption. Her name is Tiffany. Let's look this one up.
Mayor Tiffany.
Yeah, Haddish.
Oh, Tiffany Haddish. Yeah, she released her DUI tapes.
But word?
Yeah, that is more in the entertainment side of things.
That's news, but yeah. Tiffany A. Henyard is a mayor in Dalton, Illinois. She's receiving a lot of heat recently.
What does she do?
They're divulging into her mayoral spendings.
Oh, okay.
She's been hiring security team for her 24/7. And then a lot of people are even asking, going as far as why does she even need a security team?
Yeah, you're in a city I've never heard of.
Yeah, exactly. What is
in a state I've never been to.
Is there really threats on your life, or And she lives that Hollywood lifestyle. She looks like a celebrity, always walking on a Dolce Gabbana and all that stuff.
Oh my god, okay.
But there was a video, let me just see if I can show it on here.
Well, that sounds like what's going on with the George Santos thing. Have you heard about that at all?
Oh yeah, that guy, yeah, he's gonna be gone. He's done, dude.
Well, I mean, we're not even sure if that's his real name.
I know, right? Yeah, dude, it's wild. Well, I mean, that's the problem. He was elected. What do you want? He was an elected official.
But that's the ultimate, your politician's lying to you, and it's like...
When we asked Henyard a few months ago about her use of tax dollars, she was quickly hustled out of the room by armed security. And on Facebook, in videos posted by Henyard herself, we see her being driven around and surrounded by Dalton officers. Which got us to wondering, why all the cops?
We weren't opposed to her having the security detail. We asked how long and how often?
Dalton trustee Brittany Norwood says Henyard began assembling her detail shortly after being elected in 2021, using hand-picked Dalton police officers.
Hand-picked police
Using a Freedom
officers.
of Information request, we obtained
FOIA.
work records for 6 of the officers assigned to Henyard's security detail at various times, and showed them to some of Dalton's trustees. This is a Freedom of Information
Money's
request.
not adding
We have
up.
to see how much overtime these officers are making on her security detail.
Oh, wow. 162 hours.
Making overtime.
Well, that's nothing. What goes
That's
through your mind when you see these numbers?
Where do you see the hours
It's frustrating.
they
The
put in?
officers are paid every 2 weeks, which
pretty low.
without overtime is 80 hours.
Probably fake.
But when they're put on Henyard's detail, that 80 hours balloons to well over 100 hours.
Yeah, he's no wonder the
sometimes 200
162.
hours. And in the case of Officer Terry Young last May, 303 hours worked over a 2-week period.
2 weeks.
That
300 hours.
paycheck of
Like
more than
what?
$13,000.
For every 2 weeks?
How does a person put in a 2-week pay period, 303 hours? That's impossible. That's impossible.
Unless he's working overnight with her.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's 24/7.
36 hours total in 2 weeks, meaning Young was not being paid for only 33 hours over that period. Other officers on the security detail are also racking up overtime paychecks in the multiple thousands of dollars.
It's tax dollars.
Yeah.
It's about your security detail.
Absolutely not.
I'm asking her.
Yeah, she said no.
A couple weeks ago, we tried to question Henyard about her detail as she went door to door in Dalton giving out water on a 100-degree day, surrounded by police, firefighters, public works employees, and 2 videographers documenting for Dalton's Facebook page.
I want to tell the people I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep going.
I'm gonna keep going. But
Yeah, I'd
what,
be livid if we found out.
yeah, exactly. Your tax dollars. Anyway, I
That's
just
the
want to.
mayor. That's not even the governor.
I know, right? Dude, you're not even a senator, and you're a f***ing mayor, bro. But I just want to leave off with, yeah, I'm not going to focus on red or blue, or right or left or whatever. If you're corrupt, we're going to talk about it.
Well, then-
we love talking about corruption. We love talking about if you're a bad person, you're a bad person. If you're a good person, you're a good person.
The one thing I would like to say on that note is about Hunter Biden possibly testifying,
Yeah.
and he is specifically pushing for a public trial.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read about that or not, but he's saying that basically,
It would be the biggest mistake he ever made.
well, he actually is arguing it's to his advantage because when things are done behind closed doors, the facts get manipulated and then brought to the media later with, and one side is presenting facts that he thinks are incorrect versus what he thinks is. So he wants it to be just pure transparency, put the trial on TV.
I'm
let
sure
the
he
people
does,
see.
but I don't think the DNC does. I don't think President Biden does. I don't
Biden?
think.
That's
yeah,
great.
Biden. That was a good one. I don't think anybody wants that except him, because I think he knows he won't be painted as bad as some people say he is, but
It's not going to be as good
it's not
either.
going to look good for your father or your family.
Yeah,
And I think that's all they care about is the next election. Yeah.
but like
I
you
hope they
said,
do, though. I really do, because I'm all about transparency.
Yeah, red
I
and
would love
blue
to see that.
corruption should be exposed.
Yeah,
and
exactly. And we're going to expose it on this channel. That's what we're going to do. You were talking about anything else you want to leave on other than that one Republican, what was his name? The guy that we don't even know if it's his real name or not.
Oh, Santos?
Yeah.
No, I'm alright. We can do that next time. See if there's more information coming
Yeah,
out.
hopefully do. I think we got a debate coming up with Newsom and DeSantis also. Maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah.
I think that's this week, but we'll see.
Watch the debates together if you want.
Oh, yeah, do a
Podcast
live
that.
one, yeah. That's why I thought we'd talk about it more on our other pod, but nobody else seems to care.
Yeah,
about
that's fair.
But that's why we have a separate channel. And hopefully we do more. That was an hour of content. I can't believe it.
Yeah, it flew by.
And it did. But I was afraid we was going to do that with the Hollywood or entertainment. But good stopping point.
Yeah.
Good talk,
Thanks for
everybody.
listening.
Thanks for stopping by. It was a good one. All right. Good luck. Stay informed, guys. All right. Bye.